Good morning. Very warm greetings to all of you here for this webinar. I, Mrs. Anushka Kasbaze, welcome you all to this webinar series initiative, which is taken under C20, Waste and Life. India is a country with rich and diverse cultural heritage, and this is reflected in the way that Indians approach the theme of lifestyle and waste. The Bharatiya thinking about this theme is based on a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all things and need to maintain balance and harmony in all aspects of our life. As we all know, G20 leadership has been taken up by India in 2023. There are several working groups with youth like Youth 20, Civil 20, Women 20, etc., who are organizing conferences and preparatory events in order to explore various subjects that are of importance for human welfare. Civil 20 is a group consisting of civil organizations working for betterment of society in various fields. There are 14 themes that are decided by this working group in which the non-governmental organizations will be participating. The theme of life, that is lifestyle for environment, is being led by Yojak. This theme explores the aspects of lifestyle and their relation to various topics like waste, education, art, etc. The Purnam Ecovision Foundation is coordinating the sub-theme Waste and Life under the Civil 20 group and has organized a main conference on 3rd and 4th June. In this, experts and enthusiasts will gather to discuss various aspects of lifestyle. Weekly webinars that delve into different aspects of sustainability, waste, and lifestyle have also been organized. The aim of this webinar is to provide viewers with a comprehensive understanding of the concepts, future courses of action, and the innovation taking place in this sub-theme. We are excited to promote and spread awareness about the importance of sustainable lifestyle that can help us achieve a better future for ourselves and our planet. By working together to promote sustainable practices and reduce waste, we can create a brighter and more sustainable future for all. Taking into consideration all these aspects, each session of this webinar series is designed to explore various aspects of waste management and promote sustainable practices. These sessions discuss the importance of Indian traditions and cultures in promoting sustainable waste management. So we are going to begin our webinar for this, but before I have a few notes, a short question and answer session will be held at the end of the presentation, and you will have the opportunity to submit the text questions and share your comments as long as they are linked to the topic of hand. So we will collect these and address them at the end of presentation. Our topic for today's webinar is sustainable consumption, the role of consumers in reducing waste.
Recording in progress.
And for that, we have with us our guest speaker, Mrs. Yogini Bapat from Kolkata. Mrs. Yogini Bapat has done her master's in environmental engineering from Walchand College of Engineering, Sangli, Maharashtra. She is a founder of LiFE, a brand of bioenzyme-based products. She is a co-founder of Parivartan, an organization which provides trainings and workshops on sustainable development and hosts sustainable lifestyle exhibitions. She is also a member of Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and she is a vice president of West Bengal Bioenzyme Council. She is also working as a member of Go Seva Parivar, which is involved in Gau Adharit Gram Vikas, that is, cow-centric rural development. She is also a central team member of Paryavaran Sanrakshan Gatividhi for their Nari Shakti social internship programs, and she has also the responsibility of Purva Kshetra Samanvayak. An ardent believer of my waste, my responsibility, she has conducted numerous sessions, lectures, and workshops related to sustainable living and environmental conservation in schools, colleges, universities, and other platforms. So I welcome you, ma'am, and request you to share your views on sustainable consumption, the role of consumers in reducing waste.
Thank you so much, Anushka ji, for that long introduction of mine. I hope I live up to every point today. And I thank Purnam EcoVision. I thank the entire C20 team for having me over here today on this platform. It's an honor to be here, ma'am. Thank you so much. So let us begin with the role of a consumer. Okay, so what I would like to just discuss before I share my presentation is that how we as consumers are so important. We have seen many companies, they live, they survive because of the consumer's responsibility. And we have seen them die because of the consumers also at the same time. That means if there is the consumer demand for a particular thing, the company thrives on that particular thing. The company makes lots of profits, everything depends upon the consumer's trend, you can say, the consumer trend, what the consumer trend is at that particular time. The company thrives on that. And it doesn't take a long time for the trends to change nowadays in our fast life, which we are seeing, everyday life, everything has changed so much. So what happens? Immediately the consumer mind changes, the company policy has to change accordingly. Otherwise, the company falls down, the brand falls down. It makes tremendous losses. And that is why whenever we go to any restaurant, just an example I'm giving you, whenever we go to any restaurant, even if we are flying, we get a announcement saying, kindly give your feedback. Wherever they want a feedback of the consumer. Why do they want the consumer's feedback? Because they want their company to thrive. They will give respect to the consumer's feedback. Now, saying all these things, what the most important thing which I want to say is consumer is the boss. He is the ruler. He is the trendsetter of the market. So if we as consumers have this big a responsibility, then we definitely have to be responsible by showing some sustainable means in which we buy in our consumptions. We cannot go just consuming things, misusing our resources and everything. So that is why this entire session would be all about how responsible a consumer can be. So if you permit me, can I share my screen now?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, is it visible? I'll just start the slideshow.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Just 1 second. I'll just start the slideshow. Yeah, visible? So understanding sustainable consumption. My first slide would be about understanding sustainable consumption. So you can see the start points, doing more by using less. Now, for everything, I will give you 2 examples, one related to the companies and one related to our common person, how we as a common person can change. Doing more by using less. Now, every time what happens is, if we have to do something, any small thing, we are taking resources. We are using our resources. Okay, so what we can do, how can we be more productive in our day-to-day life, in our consumptions by using less of resources? Now, if I give you an example of a common person, simple thing. Every month we do our monthly grocery shopping, right? So we shop for the entire month. This saves our energy consumption. This saves our time. This saves our money, because definitely when you buy something in bulk, you will be given a certain amount of discount. So all these things, by one round in the market will bring your entire groceries for the month. So what are you doing? You're doing more. You're using less of time. You're using less of resources. Everything is reduced. Similarly, what can you do in a company? So doing more by using less is again a part of your eco-efficiency. Now, what is eco-efficiency? नाम तो बहुत बड़ा है, लेकिन बात तो वही है in a technical term. So using your less resources, waters, materials, recycling, everything, comes in the same fact. And how your impact on the ecological system has to be minimal, okay, while doing all these things. So there we come to the second point: balancing economic growth with the environment protection. Every company wants to thrive. We cannot say that you just have to compromise on your economic growth because of environment protection, but we can always strike a balance between the two. How can you grow as a brand? How can you grow as a company? By taking care of your environment as well. So here we need to take into consideration what products we are using. What is the process which goes behind? What are the raw materials which we are using? All that, if we consider, if it is the sources of that, where is it locally produced? So if your raw material is locally produced, then you are cutting down on your carbon footprints. You're cutting down on your energy resources. Everything you have to consider. Then what kind of raw material it is? Is it harmful to the environment? This is the beginning process. Then we also have to look at the end part of it. That is, when you are done with the consumption, when it comes to your time to dispose that particular product, how can you just dispose it off? So this is how you are balancing it out. Okay. So that is how your economical growth, definitely you're going to save or do all these things. So your economical growth will be there. And at the same time, you're protecting the environment also. Green energy solutions are there. So if you just opt for a solar power energy, green energy, as in I'm just talking about the solar power energy. So you are saving on your resources, you're saving on the coal which is burned for the electricity. So all this striking the balance, where now again, if you see, a circular economy again will be important. So companies which follow the circular economy, if we buy products from those companies, then definitely we are again supporting a sustainable consumption. So same way, increasing your resource efficiency. Now, how can you increase your resource efficiency? So whenever we have to buy something new, this is an example which I would give for a common person. If we have to buy something, so what we will do, we will first check our resources, whatever we have procured. We will first take a look at that. Whatever I have, these are all the things. And then I would just go and think about buying. Similarly, in companies, what do they have? They have a waste assessment policy also. They have an improving purchasing. They improve their purchasing to reduce the wastage further. So if you have already stocked up your raw material right from the beginning, and then without taking an account, without taking an inventory, we go and purchase, at times it happens. So what is the result of that? Bulk procurement, and then the whatever you have procured, the previous things, they are all useless. Then they become useless because they lose their efficiency or whatever. So this happens even at our house also. So in our homes, if we have to buy something, we have to check what all we have and what all we need to buy. It's a very simple thing. Think before you buy. Just check if you have those things at home. or am I at home and at company? The company management, I think the entire management is based upon our household management. So we should always feel the lady who manages her house, her kitchen, her everything properly can easily go and manage the factories and companies, because they are all related to each other. If you see, once the technical terms change, that is the only thing. So improving the purchasing to reduce the quantity of waste which is produced. So what is the other thing? Again, I would always, you would hear me repeating energy conservation all the time. So energy conservation is utmost important. So here again, the same thing, increasing resource efficiency, energy conservation, if you can do, that would be helpful. Then reducing the waste outputs. Now, whatever wastage is whatever wastage is happening in your whatever working place, so how can you reduce it? All these need to be taught properly, and then of course promoting the sustainability. So we're talking about more and more of promoting the sustainability. So that is what, so all these things are very important while we talk about sustainable consumption, minimizing the use of natural resources and toxic materials, reducing the quantity of waste and pollutants which are produced during the production and the packing, and buying products from company. Here is where promoting sustainability comes. Buying the products from companies following a circular economy does not jeopardize the needs of the future generations. So this is about our first slide. Now, moving on to the next slide. Here, if you see, this explains the behavior of a sustainable consumer behavior. So sustainable consumer has got a typical behavior. He is a responsible consumer. So there are different behavior, how the behavior pattern is, that we come to know from this chart. One would be intent oriented. So what is the intent behind a sustainable consumer? Definitely of reducing the waste which is generated, reducing the use of the resources. So low become, and when you are generating the waste, that also you reduce it. So how would you do it? So definitely you can do it in a private sphere and a public sphere. So first of all, we'll concentrate on the private sphere. So what would the consumer first do? He would consume mindfully. So what I told right now was mindful consumption. Every time when you go to purchase a thing, you always go through the labels, what are the ingredients of the particular product, what all raw material, what all ingredients have gone into the product while making. Are they sustainable products which are used to make? Are they eco-friendly? Are they harmful to your environment? All these things, when you think about, then you see the product. And one very small thing, if you're going to going for a shopping thing, any kind of a cleaner or waste cleaner, you just read the ingredients. And if you're unable to pronounce those words, that means there's some strange products which have gone inside that particular product. So that is why they could be a bit harmful to your environment. Okay. So you just stay away from them. Try and use more and more eco-friendly products which are made out of natural resources without harming any of them. So that would, even when they are out of your house, when they're done with the purpose they were supposed to be in your house or your company, once they are out in the environment, they are less harmful. That comes to the purchasing of sustainable product. And then again, disposal. The packaging is very important, how they are packed. So a lot of people are now, companies seeing to the trend of the consumer, seeing the trend change to more of a sustainable one, they have changed their packaging system. The plastics which were used earlier are changed into paper. Now you can see many cardboard or Tetra packs which are used for different kind of, especially I would say the cleaners and all which we are using. The sustainable ones, they are packaged in a proper, either a reusable bottles or into a proper cardboard packaging. So The disposal is much more easier, and when you dispose it, it is not harming your entire environment. So this is the private sphere where you can just think about the mindful consumption, purchasing of the sustainable products, and sustainable use and disposal of that particular product. And then on a public sphere, what can you do? Activism. Now, activism is not about going and just, narebaji karna and all that doesn't happen here. So what is activism over here? When I say activism, advocate about all the sustainable products, which talk about those sustainable products. We are connected to so many social media platforms. Talk about those products, talk about those companies which use those sustainable products. So hereby people will come to know. Spreading the awareness is the utmost important thing today, because many people, be it their ignorance, be it they're just not thinking about environment impact, is something which is happening right now. So spreading awareness is of utmost importance. Educating the people about sustainable behavior, sustainable products, what are the availabilities, is more important. Then the second part of your behavior is impact oriented. Now, if you see the impact oriented behavior, sorry, we could just buy less. Now, by buying less, I would say that if I buy a pair of jeans today, so there are more than 10,000 liters of water which goes behind making one jeans. So it is using so much of water resource. So what you could do is you could just buy one jeans, and the jeans as it is has a very, very long life. So long as you maintain your own health, you will have no problems for the next 10 years. So buy less. Whenever you go out, you don't need to just, mindful buying. Buying less is what? Mindful buying. Again, like I just said previously, I repeat it once again, that whenever you are going for a shopping, maybe whatever you have to go and buy, just ek bar, before leaving the house, just go through your cupboard, go through your pantry, go through your cupboards, and just check what all you have. Then you would be surprised to see that there are multiple things on your table, lying on the table, which you have never used before. So why buy such a product which would be lying on your shelf without being used? So it is just, dumping things and adding to your environment. So don't do that. That is always wastage of money, wastage of resources, and adding to your wasting, the waste which goes out of your house. So rather than that, be mindful. Don't double the things which you have. Just go and buy whatever is needed. What is the need of the thing? So that is what buying less is all about. Nobody is asking you to not to buy, but while buying, just be mindful. Then, of course, there are second-hand, vintage, and rental things which you can do. So nowadays, the thrifting is a very in thing. There are many thrift shops. What are thrift shops? So if I have something like a sari, say a very good sari, and I have used it twice or thrice and don't want to use it again, I don't want to wear it again, so I can put it up for sale on a thrift store. Somebody who would like to wear, somebody who likes that thing, can always just go and buy it from there. Like that, I am just letting the other person wear that pretty sari which I had, and it's like buying a second-hand thing, you can say, but which is in a very, very good shape. It hasn't been damaged or anything. So we have these second-hand thrift shops quite popping up quite a lot. Now the trend is changing. Then there, for example, I'll just give, we have one shop called Dilse over here in Kolkata. So Dilse is again a shop which sells all the branded stuff which is there, but they are all second-hand, used used once or twice, and a very nice name which has been given to them, given to that shop, those pieces, I would say, is pre-loved. So pre-loved is a concept which is coming up, which is saving on your lot of fabric wastage. Because if you see, the second largest wastage industry is the fabric industry. Every time the changes, every time the trend changes, wardrobe, entire wardrobe. So that is how, the waste is I always services. There are also rental things. You can rent a car, you can rent a laptop, you can rent so many things. Everything you can rent rather than just going and buying. Musical instruments are also rented nowadays, because what happens, we have this young generation who all of a sudden wants to learn some things, learn a different musical instrument. Because I'm giving you this example because this has actually happened with me. My son used to play the drums. So initially, what I thought, let me just rent the drums rather than me going and buying. So I rented a drum set for over 2 years. And then when I saw that my son was actually very much interested, then I decided to buy a drum set for him. So it's always safer, because if he would have just stopped, he would have just not shown any interest in playing the drums. That drums would have been lying there in the house just like that, like a ignored piece of furniture. And there was investment in that. There are resources behind that. So this is how rental systems work. So we have car rentals also. And of course, all these impact oriented, which are the preferences of the behavior. So the consumer behavior, for it to be sustainable, need to follow this these points which I just discussed. So, okay, my slides are not changing. So now moving on to the next point is understanding the circular economy. Now, circular economy and sustainability go hand in hand. So whenever we have to buy, now you've heard me before saying that whenever we have to buy from a company which follows a circular economy. So as a consumer, if I want to know what is circular economy all about, so this is how I would explain a circular economy. So whenever I'm taking my raw materials, I would think twice before taking the raw materials. The raw materials which are there, I would use, the raw materials which are used would be locally produced. We'll see to it that the raw materials are locally produced. We are not using more carbon footprints for the transport of that particular raw materials. Then what then comes to when the raw materials and all are procured from the right sources and the right type of raw materials, we come to the designing part. Now, when I'm designing something, I would like it to be sustainable. So what is a sustainable design? This a design which would last for a longer time, a design which would sustain the fashion trends also. So we would design in such a way. And then comes to the production unit. Production unit means we would definitely take care of all the norms which are created by the government policies which are there, the emission norms, the effluent which goes out of the factories, those norms, everything, all the norms would be taken care of. Then once the product is ready, there would be certainly the distribution. Again, while the distribution is happening, we would see that the minimum energy is consumed while distribution is happening. And then we come to the next part, which is consumption. So while the consumption is happening here? Again, the consumer is playing an important role. Again, if you see, what is written is reuse and repair. These two things, unfortunately, we as consumers have forgotten. So it is time for us to remember that there is something called as reuse, there is something called as repair. Okay. So all these facilities, if at all there is the company from the where we have bought this product that supplies, then there is nothing better than it. The company has the policy of repairing. It is giving you a good customer service. Then definitely people would recommend that company as well. Buy products from there, because we always, whenever we are buying a washing machine, whenever we are buying a fridge, first thing which comes is the energy consumption. We check out the stars which are there, 5-star hai or 3-star hai. Those stars are given according to the consumption of the electricity energy which is consumed by that particular product. Then we will think about the after sales services, right? So is it the repairs, the servicing which they give once in a year, twice in a year, they give the servicing of that particular machine or the fridge, washing machine. So all these policies we check. So this is where, and of course, the repairs, whatever problem is there, immediately if we get a person and if a technician comes immediately for the repair of that particular product, then we as customers are also happy. We recommend such products. That comes under the circular economy. And then there has to be a certain collection for the after use also. Like I would give you an example of a company named the Body Wash. So the this company, the Body Wash will be. So this company takes back its empty bottles. Okay, the empty bottles are taken back and they are reused, they are recycled or whatever. So whenever you go and buy a new product from them, you give them your empty bottle, they give you a certain amount of discount or certain points for your next purchase. So that kind of a possibility, if it is there, then again, you feel more motivated to follow a sustainable consumption process. And after this, again, there has to be a proper recycling. Again, like I said, the bottles which are reused or recycled further. So recycling proper agar hota hai us product ka, then that is the best. And then there is also a possibility of sharing the resources. Now, once, if at all your entire product is then done with its lifetime, you have just given it for recycling, then what happens is, all the products, it is dismantled. And some of the parts are, reused also. So here you're reusing the resources. Okay, so this cycle has to go on. As in the resource, you don't need to buy new raw materials because you can reuse the raw material from that product itself. So that is a very important point, because by reusing that small product, even though it is small, because you have to just think about it is a circle. So that is why a circular economy against a linear economy, which follows the cradle to grave policy. We always like to follow a circular economy, which follows a cradle to cradle policy. So that is very important. It is a closed loop system. Now, collaborative consumption is also very important. Like certain parts or certain products which come for the recycling can be used by different companies. So here the collaboration takes place. Yeah, I would take this part of your products, and so that I can use it as my raw material. In very simple, I'm explaining everything in a very, very simple way for everyone, all of us to understand. Okay, so this is about the circular economy principles, a circular economy, how it works and how it would help us to reduce the amount of waste which is created post production. during production and also before the production, because we are always reusing our resources. Now, again, when I say reusing the resources, all these which we are talking about are spoken out loud and big terms in all the other foreign countries. And we say that those countries are following it. That is why, it is our responsibility also to follow all these things. But here, I would like to just ask a question. Aren't these inbuilt concepts for any of us Indians? Are they not our Indian things only? Is it not our Indian culture to conserve everything, to use everything responsibly? Now, if you at all look, this is the Atharva Veda, Shlok number 12, which says, Mata Bhumi Putraham Prithviya. मतलब मेरी माता धरती है, धरती मेरी माता है, मैं इसका पुत्र हूं और इसकी रक्षा करना ये मेरा धर्म है. So this is the shloka of our Vedas. So all, if you see our ancient Vedas hai, sab shlok hai, itne everything is related to environment and taking care of our environment. We worship nature. What is the reason behind worshipping nature? So that we don't do any harm to the nature. We always worship the rivers. We worship the Lord Sun, which gives us energy. We worship the rains. We worship trees, which give us oxygen. But everything in our, I would say, ancient science, ancient our way of living, it says that take care of whatever you have, take care of your environment. So it is all inbuilt. We have not imbibed all these things from other foreign countries. It is amongst us. It is inbuilt within us. It is ours. What we have to do is bring it back again. Let it resurface into us again. Because the things which are there in our DNA, ठूस के भरा हुआ है ये हमारे DNA में, खाली उसको जरा shake करके बाहर ले आना है. It is there within us. We have to bring it out. So just look at the photos which I've shared over here. They are of ancient architectures. That time, every temple used to have a water tank for water harvesting, saving water for the entire year. Beautiful designs, step wells and everything were there at that time. If we see Mohenjo-daro, if we see Harappa civilizations, they had proper drainage systems planned. They had proper town planning. So this entire sustainability, environment protection is ours. It belongs to us. It is there inbuilt in us. We just have to bring it out again. Use of local material, reuse, refurbish, everything was there. What was not there? Now, this last picture which you see is a quilt made out of small pieces of cloth. All our grandmothers, I wouldn't even go to our great-grand or even my mother has made this kind of a quilt. It is there, jod kapda, whatever saris were there, whatever dupattas were there, colorful dupattas, all those were cut into pieces and sewed into beautiful quilts, made different patterns. And now that social media is thriving, people are able to sell these things also. Earlier, it used to run within the family. My mother used to make it for me. I have used the same thing for my son. So it used to go down generations till it used to tear finally. And that cloth used to be used for maybe a doormat. Then that doormat used to become a mop cloth. And then ultimately, once you cannot use it any further, then we used to just throw it out and go it to the landfill. But before that, we used to make the optimum use of that particular thing. So all these, there is one company which I know is from rags to quilts. So what she makes is, she makes beautiful designs. Right? Again, your creativity is what you can put it upon, and then it becomes your creativity, when you put with all the sustainability, it becomes a sustainable product. You have a social media platform to display your sustainable product. You get paid, people are ready to pay, and then you become a entrepreneur, a green entrepreneur. So everything, whenever, if you have that kind, mein jahan chah wahan raha, if you want to become a social sustainable entrepreneur, you're a green entrepreneur, then there are so many ideas which come from. So that is what I wanted to tell you, that this is inbuilt within us. We just have to take it out, because I see the rags, the quilts which are made of different cloths which are just joined together. I remember that how many times we have done it before. The saris, the t-shirts were cut and then again stitched into bags, the fridge bags which you get. You can easily cut them with your soft dupatta for everything. All we need to do is just think. So again, mindlessly, we cannot go out and shop. Always think. Mindless thing leads to, again, harm. Being mindless is harmful to the environment. In one sentence, I would say, being mindless would be harmful to the environment. So ancient Bharat has always been, talking about environment, talking about sustainability, preserving our natural resources. So all these things, even the sciences of, whenever we used to light a diya under the tulsi plant in the evening, rich our culture is. So when you light a ghee diya under tulsi ji, it gives out more and more oxygen. And more that oxygen is converted into ozone. So the entire day, the lady of the house is sitting in front of the chula. That time the cylinders, gas services were not there. So she used to inhale a lot of carbon dioxide through the chula. So that is the time in the evening she gets a break, she gets that extra oxygen, she gets that extra ozone which is required for for her lungs. So these small rituals, going and praying to the banyan tree, 7 ये धागा जो लगाते 7 बार 7 फेरे करते वो, all that. Why? Because the banyan tree gives out more and more oxygen. So you breathe in more and more oxygen. So that is the reason behind it. Everything is so scientific. If you just study about it, you will come to know how rich our Indian culture is, how rich as a cultural country we are. And all we have to do is think about it, study about it, and bring it back. Because again, I repeat, we have this concept of sustainability inbuilt within us. It is not an imbibed one, it is inbuilt. So now moving on to the next part, which is understanding the impact of the product. So whenever you buy a product, we should always think what impact it is going to produce. So there are health hazards also involved when you buy something. Now, if I talk about a cleaner, which I buy to clean my toilets, to clean my tiles, to clean my floors. So what impact? So if you see, if you're cleaning a toilet, if you buy a liquid which is blue in color and use it, what happens? Fumes are generated. Can you breathe in that here? Breathe normally? You cannot. Why? Because the fumes are there, which are harmful. You feel as if your lungs are burning, your nose starts burning, your eyes water. And if one small drop of it falls on your hand, or wherever it touches your skin, wherever, you can feel the burning sensation, right? So that is the health hazard. Then, of course, there are a few detergents, which have, when used, give out a different kind of smell. for which many people are allergic to it. They start sneezing, they develop some lung diseases, they have skin allergies. So all these health hazards are caused by some of the chemicals which are used in the products. So what we can do is, whenever we are buying that product, we see that it is used, the product is made of environment friendly materials. The raw materials which go into it are eco-friendly. So that is one thing which we need to take care of. Then we go to the environmental impacts. Okay, so it is hazardous to your health. It is definitely going to impact the environment also. So there also we have to be careful that air, water, land has to be intact. You cannot misuse the resources which God has given us, because beyond whatever is there is here only. We are not going to add air, kahan se add nahi hone wala hai. Water we are not going to add, land we cannot add. So whatever it is, we have to take care. We have to just see to it that at least while consuming things which we are consuming, when it goes out of your house, it creates a lesser impact on the environment. Then the raw materials, again, like I said, you just check the raw materials, manufacturing process, kis tarah se wo manufacture ho raha hai, packaging now, sustainable packaging or not. When you see that it is packed in multiple layers of plastic, try and avoid such products. One, try to write to the companies also. The packaging needs to change. They do take cognizance. They do change their policies, because like I said in the beginning of the session, that the consumer is the boss. The companies live and die because of the consumer. And of course, the product is recyclable or not. Is the company following green certifications, green government policies are followed or not? And then the generation of waste which is created. You can you compost the waste which is given? Can you recycle it? Or whatever you can do with the waste later on, you have to just check the impact of the products in this way. So the impacts which are produced are shown in a picturesque form over here. If you see, this is the river Yamuna in Delhi, which is foaming. And every time we point fingers at the industries, there is one finger pointing at us also, because there is a certain amount for which we are also responsible. This is because of the surfactants, the chemicals which we are draining down every day from our own bathrooms, from our own sinks, everything. Okay, the clothes which we wash with harsh detergents and all, they are going and polluting and adding to the river from the nalas, via the nalas. So we are also responsible. Don't think that only industries are responsible. Then you see all these water bodies full of plastic, the landfill full of plastic. You see the allergies on the hands. You see the breathing problems which people are facing. These are all because of both industry as well as domestic front. So we have to be careful while buying any products. We have to think twice. So now when we have already bought all the products, now what is our responsibility after the purchasing of that product? So one is to reevaluate, which I am keeping on saying that actually if you need the product, then only buy, otherwise do not buy. Identifying the type of waste which is generated. Now, segregation and identifying the weight are two important points. Whenever you buy something, when you're done with the thing, you need to decide, is it a biodegradable thing or is it a non-biodegradable? So because biodegradable ho, to just put it in your green bucket, which is for the biodegradable one. Then otherwise you put it in your blue bucket, which is for the recyclable ones, or whatever reusing or whatever you are going to do with it. Then you can always go for the composting, which is there at home. Then you can make bioenzymes also. Bioenzymes have multiple uses. You can use them as cleaners and toilet. Throughout your day, whatever products you have used as cleaners, as you can say detergents, as your scale removals, everywhere you can use bioenzymes as fertilizers. The bioenzymes are excellent fertilizers. So you can make bioenzymes and use them. They will cut down on your monthly cost also. Then again, reusing, refurbishing your dry waste. Upcycling is coming up. Upcycling is also gaining lot of importance, and people are doing business and thriving in that, because that is the latest trend. And then the last option, of course, is your recycling. So all these things are that is our responsibility to take care of all these things post purchasing product. Then there are different sustainable options. So always when I say these pictures are there, you see the steel bottles, collapsible cups, your own cloth napkin, one bag which is going to save many plastic bags which are going to go and ruin the planet. Steel straws. Straws are the worst enemy, I would say, because they cannot be recycled. They just go, they are spoiling your aquatic life also, because they get stuck into the bodies, of the fish, of the aquatic life. The birds also, at times get stuck and strangled into this. So avoid plastic straws. Then the next step I would say is carrying of all these steel tiffin boxes for, replace and save on one box which goes into the dustbin. So whenever you're buying non-veg stuff, it always comes in a plastic packet. So rather than using that plastic bucket, because you plan before you buy, so you know that you're going out to buy your non-veg stuff. So always send a box, so that whatever you buy, it comes in a box. You are not using your plastic bags for that. Same thing goes for paneer. Same thing goes for vegetables. Take your bags. You get lovely vegetable bags now. They are available. You can, like I said, stitch at home also. Then, of course, the single-use cutlery sets we can avoid by using these reusable ones. So making your day a sustainable one. How can you do that? So I have just given a few options over here, like what can you replace by replacing plastic toothbrush and toothpaste with bamboo brush, DIY tooth powders. Nowadays, people are into making their own tooth powders with their home products. Then the tooth pills are available. Then there's a paste in a jar which avoids the use of your plastic toothpaste tubes, which are again non-recyclable. Then we see lot of plastic cones lying in the garbage. So just to avoid that, if possible, cleaners available. But if you go for an eco-friendly cleaner, a bioenzyme-based ones, more better for the environment. So all these small little steps, if you see, are very, very important. Stepping out of the house with just a wallet, and again, stepping out of the house with a smart eco bag. Now, what is a smart eco bag? So we always are used to carrying a purse in our along with us when we step out of the house. So what all you can put in a smart, your purse can be a smart eco bag. How? By having one foldable cloth bag inside, by having your own water bottle, so that when you feel thirsty, you don't need to buy a water bottle. Then a collapsible cup if you feel like having tea or having juice. You don't end up using another paper cup which has a plastic lining to it, so that you have your smart cup, and people will see you also and try and follow that. Then your own cloth napkin, so that you can avoid paper napkins. All these small little things, carrying a dabba. So whenever you feel like buying mithai, paneer, whatever, so you have a dabba. So you avoid that single time use of boxes which are there in the shop. Leaving the lights open, again switching off. Switching off can save so much of energy. So whenever you're going out, when you switch rooms from one room to other room, just have a habit of just switching off the lights. Then gifting also, when you have to give a gift to someone, your near and dear ones, try making your own gifts. DIY kits are there. or the green giftings, which are very much in, which are eco-friendly, gift plants for everyone. People are more happy to receive plants than bouquets. So this was all about how we can change our day-to-day lifestyles. And this is now again an important thing about the role of government. Now, how can government help us as a consumer for buying sustainable products? How can these be more available to us? Now, government can set by setting the policies and regulations. Of government can always help us by with the stricter policies. They can have restrictions on the emissions. They can have restrictions on the effluent which goes out of the things. They do have, and they need to follow all these regulations. The companies are compelled to follow all these regulations. They have to follow the norms set up by the governments, the limits, the emission limits, all these things which the government policies and regulations form. The company has to abide by it. Then, of course, the government can provide incentives for companies which are using greener energy resources. So, if incentives, so sabhi ko achhe lagte. So, if the government is giving the incentives, the more and more companies will come forward to use the greener initiatives. Then, of course, the government can always invest in the infrastructure like public transport and all, so that again the energy consumption is less. Then again, educating the public is very much important. They can run plans, they can tie up with the NGOs with saying that you have to do this. That is very easy. But unless and until the public is not educated properly, we cannot have a hope that they will follow it, because it is very important for a person to know the impacts of the impact of that product, what it is going to pose on the person himself and the environment. And then once the person is educated, maybe he will change his mindset, and he will go for the more eco-friendly options available. And for that, education is very, very important. And it is not a job that we'll have a program over here. The government needs to tie up with different NGOs and form block-wise. They have to go and educate. Door-to-door education of that particular person is important, where the NGOs can be helpful. Then again, stricter rules and regulations. The government needs to put fines, higher fines and more stricter in there, and they have to be more vigilant for the policy breakers. So then again, what we can do, we can just, go and support sustainable business by buying from sustainable startups, from companies which give fair labor practices, where the environment hazards which the workers face are taken care of. There are less people who are exposed to the workers, the laborers of occupational hazards, which we call. There are few occupational hazards which the laborers have to, go through. Then, of course, what we could do is invest in sustainable business. Whenever we have some, we can practice investing. Many people are investing in different shares and everything markets. Why not then just invest in the green businesses? Then you always spread the word. We have media, we have social media, we have connections, we have different, places where we can talk about or elevate all the use of sustainable products. So there we should always, spread the word. Whichever media you have print media, you have the social media, everywhere. Then again, advocate for a policy change. So if if you really want to see the change, then you need to be the change, and then you need to advocate again with your different connections. Then always, the lastly one I would say is partner with sustainable business. Definitely you can invest, like I said, and then also partner with a sustainable business, collaborate with a sustainable business and see it grow. Because when you own something, you have more responsibility towards it, more responsible for it to see it grow. You will put in more time of yours, you'll put in more resources of yours into it so that you see it thrive. So that is how you support a sustainable business. And lastly, I would say, let's remember the 3 R's of sustainability of reducing waste, reusing it, and recycling your resources. By following all these principles, we would definitely be a responsible consumer and at the same time, a sustainable consumer. And always remember that consumer is the boss. So we as consumers have to be responsible, and we can change the trend. And don't think that मेरे एक से करने से क्या होगा, आपके एक के करने से लोग आपको देखेंगे, और that is how the ripple effect will follow, and we will have more and more people who would follow these sustainable practices. So this is about it. About the presentation. The presentation is over, and I hope I have completed it within the time. So, Anushka ji, I am done with my...
Yeah, ma'am, thank you so much for this such an informative session. And as you said, it is 3 R's: sustainability, reducing, reusing, and recycling. But I think by going through all this, what we have today from you, now our audience must be thinking about the next R, that is rethink. Every time what we are now going to rethink about our practices, our purchasing habits, our utilization, and of course after that, like how we are going to dispose it. And that is why it is a very important aspect of our life and sustainability. You gave us a clear idea to change from consumerism to optimum use of things. And I'm sure that's why our audiences must have learned a lot from you about its purchasing, consumption, and disposal. So continuing the same aspect, actually we have some questions like, how can we ensure that the waste reduction and sustainable consumption are inclusive and accessible to all members of society, regardless of this socio-economic status?
So, for the answer, I would again stress upon educating the masses. Because unless and until we educate, unless and until we have awareness, right, people will not come to know what waste reduction is all about. So education is utmost importance, because people we know are very ignorant. Ignorance is bliss, but no longer. Ignorance is not a bliss now. You need to be aware of how responsible you have to be. Then provision of infrastructure again. So if we are talking about reducing our waste, so we need to have the facilities also to take care of your waste. We need to have a door-to-door pickup facility. We need to have if you are a big community, we need to have a community composter also. We need to have a recycling facility also, because we cannot expect people to just, pile up their waste into their houses. So that is why they need to have a proper infrastructure built up also. Then, of course, if the government shows all the interest in all these things, they would just, have a proper facility for all these things. Then that would be really, really helpful. Then again, collaborating with NGOs. Like I said, both of us had visited the Indore waste management plant, where we came to know that collaborating with local NGOs for door-to-door campaign is what helped them to, because segregation at source is the most important thing, be it for a normal, person, or wherever industries, wherever possible. Whenever a waste is generated, if it is not segregated at source, and if you are not aware how to segregate it, then it becomes a problem over there. So it is very difficult. Once you pile up the waste and then you go and segregate it, it becomes a very difficult process, because contamination already starts taking place. So segregation at source, collaborating with NGOs, and then, again, providing resources, support communities, and everything would just help us inclusively to become more sustainable as a meal consumption.
There is another question, like, according to you, what are the challenges or barriers for implementing such sustainable consumption and waste reduction practices?
So again, I would come to the same thing because everything depends upon your awareness, your education. Again, what is the barrier? If I am not aware of what I have to do with the waste which I've generated, I'm going to just throw it into my dustbin and it will go and end up at the landfill. If I am not educated, if that is the reason, I would rather stress very much upon one thing, which is of utmost importance right now, is educating the masses, spreading the awareness, be it webinars, be it seminars, be it door-to-door campaigns. You can go building-wise, ward-wise. So if this effort is taken care of educating the people, we will have a reduced amount of waste. And again, that is one major barrier, according to me, which will come. And then, of course, there are, I would say, the cultural and social norms which do not support sustainability. They discourage sustainability. Log kya kahenge? So when I am walking and I am doing a plogging thing, so I don't think about log kya kahenge. People will call me a kachra wali, kachra uthane wali. I'm okay with it. That is one social stigma. I'd call it I would call it my pride in keeping my society clean. So people should come out into all these activities. These plogging activities I have seen really, really are effective. People in around your society, they see that there are people who are coming and picking up the waste which you have thrown. So always remember, my waste, my responsibility. While plogging, we speak to people, we speak to vendors, tea vendors and everyone. All these vendors are supportive. They say, if the people are not responsible, what can we do? So this socially also we need to be responsible. So these are the barriers and challenges. You need to change the public perspective. Staying clean, keeping your city clean should be your pride. You see a person going out in a BMW and throwing a plastic glass or a plastic bottle out of the window. It is really saddening for me to see that. So if education needs to be there, awareness needs to be there. And of course, all these things do matter. And the convenience also and the cost effectiveness also. At times, people have a mindset that whatever is sustainable would be at a higher cost. But if you think about it, being sustainable is not to go and buy things which are sustainable. You can create things which are sustainable. They are from within. You need to just think, how can I do it my way? Like a very small example, Anushka ji, I would like to give. Whenever we buy in my case, I would say, whenever I buy a pizza, it comes with a few pieces of vegetables, few shredded cheese, whatever the toppings are, very little. I always tell my son, I would do a better job. I would rather make it at home for you with cleaner ingredients than buying from outside. So a small example, which I'm sure everybody can relate to. So these are the barriers and challenges which we face,
Yeah. And so I think ma'am has given all the answers for the questions like we have. And still, if we have any questions, or here we can actually conclude our webinar today. So I would like to thank Madam Yogini ma'am for your valuable contributions and your sharing your insights and perspectives with us. I'm sure our audience have learned a lot from this. Thank you so much. I would like to thank everyone who made this webinar session possible. And thank you so much, audience, for joining and attending this session. We are looking forward your presence for our next sessions also. Have a great day ahead. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for having me over here. I thank the audience also. I thank Purnam Ecovision again. I thank the C20 team for having me over here. It was a pleasure sharing my thoughts with all of you. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar. Namaskar.